She thought I was talking to her. How dare her assume that? How dare she assume that? Sorry for the grammar mistake. Anyway, here we are at the illustrious Big Blue, getting ready to discuss the issue of PTS. And as this title states, are you a potential trouble source? Now, we must understand that one aspect of cults is that they create new words. They create jargon. And that reinforces the whole us versus them dynamic. All cults seem to create jargon in a way that would appear to be a bit unnecessary. And potential trouble source is one of those concepts that Scientology uses to control its members. Nobody wants to be looked at as a potential trouble source, as being PTS. And so I've done a little studying today, printed out some stuff for us to go over together. And first we're going to need to review a little bit of yesterday's lesson. Sorry, I wanted to be a professor before. It never happened. So forgive me if I act a little bit professorial here. That is just me making up for lost times, I guess. But anyway, I just love pulling apart this other reality, which is Scientology. So yesterday we were talking about the concept of the antisocial personality, that without any kind of statistical analysis or scientific exploration, Scientology and L. Ron Hubbard decided that 20% of the world population is what we would call antisocial. They have antisocial personalities. And notice who's being antisocial with their music in the background. None other than the cult of Scientology. And so, because we don't want to violate any of their precious copyrights of wonderful Scientology music. Oh, our friend. Hello, friend. So anyway, they say 20% of people in the world are it's something to aspire to, this condition of PTS, something to definitely aspire to, on the way to being an actual SP, like me. Although non-declared, I do not have paperwork, and I would appreciate some. But anyway, so the idea is that 20% of the world's population, nice round figure that never comes up in any kind of statistical analysis. Check that out, the music went off. They literally timed it for right when I was walking by, and then they turned it down. Somebody must not be enjoying the music. So they're keeping it, yeah, it's on, but it's lower. Okay, so anytime you hear a statistic like, I would love to have that goldenrod paper. That would be a major life goal achieved for me. So anyway, oh, just a reminder. If you didn't see my video where I visited my local congressman's office, which is also the congressman for this whole area, Adam Schiff, and he is running for Senate. No matter where you live, it would behoove you to contact Adam Schiff to ask about his position on Scientology. When I went there yesterday, the nice guy behind the door that could not be opened, yeah, they wouldn't open the door and let me in. Not because I was filming. There was nobody there. There was just that guy and an empty waiting room. And, oh, I said I'd be back in a few days. I'm not calling because I don't want to hassle with like recording a phone call. But anyway, I saw somewhere when I Googled him, Adam Schiff that is, that he's already been asked about Scientology. Now, as the representative in a way for Scientology, because really in the House of Representatives there would be two people who would be the main representatives handling Scientology. And that would be whoever is the representative in Clearwater, Florida, and Adam Schiff, currently running for Senate. And but you know, he has to get through a primary first. And so it's very important for us to get a very clear answer to the questions that I presented, which were and I don't know if I stated it exactly, you know, whatever, but basically, would you support, how you doing, man? Good to see you, dude. Say hello to my people. You are so damn famous on the internet, like everybody loves you.
I got flipped off.
It's not me, man.
I got flipped off by a Scientologist.
Oh, good. That's an achievement. Hello. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
We're all assembled, and I saw DOA's van is over there.
Yeah,
but
he was here. He was here a while ago doing an interview.
I saw part of that interview with Natalie.
With Natalie, there you go. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say different name, but no. I'm gonna go over here, right over
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
I'll see you in a minute.
See you around. They're blasting the music
Yeah.
right when I walked by, they blasted it, and then when I got to here, they turned it down again.
Yeah, they're watching us.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. They're always watching. I mean, we count on it. As attention whores, we do need to be watched, right?
They're watching EPs to get us for something.
Oh yeah. Well, as soon as I parked my car, I saw helicopters, and I was like, "Uh-oh, what's up over there?"
What? Over here?
Yeah.
Oh, those were the hospital helicopters.
Oh, okay. Well, there were two. There was one that was higher up, but yeah.
Hospital helicopters, if it's like white and black, it's L.
Yeah. So anyway, Adam Schiff, I also want to call him Peter Schiff because I guess that there's that investment guy, Peter Schiff. So I was messing it up. If I do here, sorry, Adam. But anyway, the questions. Would you support hearings into the tax-exempt status of Scientology? Number two, have you ever accepted donations from Scientology, and how much? Number three, have you ever attended any Scientology events? And that's really important because, as we know, the cop, little Timmy, who falsely arrested Aaron, is notorious for attending Scientology events, singing badly at Scientology events, getting paid who knows how much, So if somebody's attending Scientology events, well, that means they're courting the Scientology vote. And any kind of vote where they have a prearranged group of cult members who can be instructed to vote in one way, that's a big thing in politics. If you can get an organization, if you can get the teachers union, the firemen, the police union, stuff like that, you get these huge blocks of votes. And we don't know if Adam Schiff has gone for the less huge block of votes of Scientology members, cultists. And so it's important to find out. It's important to get these politicians on record. And like Street said, it doesn't matter if it's your local dog catcher in Nebraska. Ask them what their position is on the tax-exempt status of Scientology. Because realize, anybody running for any elected office has a delusional thought in their mind from time to time that there is a pathway to the presidency for me. But there's not a pathway to the presidency if you have a record of supporting a child trafficking cult. There is no such pathway for you in that case. So we need to get everybody on record. So please check out that video, give it a like, share it with your local representative. I also posted Chichikana's letter to a politician in my posts on this channel to serve as a template. It even includes links, including the link to that Adam Schiff video I did yesterday. Well, I posted it today. You felt honored? Has it worn off already? Oh my God, she's going to need more honoring. Anyway, so yeah, really important to do that. Just contact any politician, but the best way to do it is to walk in unannounced to their office. Second best way, make an appointment. But see, you're going to get screened if you make an appointment, say, I want to come in and talk about Scientology. And if you say, I want to come in and talk about some stuff, but I'm not going to tell you what, you're going to get screened even more. So the best thing is to walk in the door and just, hey, curious what your position is on Scientology. And most of them aren't necessarily going to have a ready-made position. But Adam Schiff would have no excuse for not having such a position, since he presides over this area where Scientology commits a huge proportion of their crimes against humanity. If he's not aware of that, he's just not curious. So I guess he's not a good mark for Scientology, those signs. Curious? Well, maybe if you're Adam Schiff and you have not educated yourself about the evils of Scientology, maybe you're just not curious enough to be a senator. Because we require curiosity from our elected officials, somebody who's going to dig into things and say, what the hell's going on here? And if you have been the congressman for this district and you haven't been curious about what the hell's going on with Scientology, you're not curious enough. Right, exactly, that's what I'm saying. He is running for Senate, but he has to get through a Democratic primary first. I don't know how many people. I know Katie Portman's running against him, and she's good. If you like progressive Democrats, that is. If you don't, she's probably not. But she's very populist, so she might appeal even to people more on the right. because of a lot of things, because she stands up for workers and whatnot. And she calls people out like hardcore. So I'm going to have to find out about her position on Scientology as well. But I definitely expect for Adam Schiff to know a lot about it, since he is serving this district, and therefore it would only be logical that he would have done his homework. And let's hope he has, and let's hope that he has some correct let's have some good understandings. So anyway, to bring us up to date from yesterday, and I will not assume that everybody listened to that, that Scientology starts getting you ready for an us versus them thing right from the beginning when you get into Scientology. And so they start off, they don't go right into their jargon of SP, suppressive person. They talk about there being antisocial personalities. They don't present evidence for how many of these there are or anything like that. They make bold claims, but it's all pulled straight out of L. Ron Hubbard's ass. And it's basically, they construct a way to lock you in to Scientology, and to see anybody who would speak negatively about Scientology as a really negative person. And so they tell you what to look for, and they describe it, but what they're describing is just somebody saying things about, yeah, Lafayette was pretty pretty messed up about a lot of things. So anyway, so you have this thing called the antisocial personality, according to them. And obviously there are antisocial personalities, for sure. And mainly you see them in Scientology, people who have no capability of having a rational discussion with people who don't agree with them. So what's funny, in when they describe these bad people, supposedly, they are really describing themselves. So, and they say that these antisocial people, they are the cause of criminality. They are the cause of business failures, of families breaking up. It's all this stuff is caused by these antisocial personalities. They cause illness. They cause people to not recover from illness. And the one thing that really shows you who's who is that they are morbidly opposed. Can you say morbidly opposed? Whatever, I said it. To any group that seeks the betterment of mankind. Like, they start foaming at the mouth when they hear about human improvement, human betterment, any group that promotes the betterment of mankind. Who could that be in their delusional minds? So here's how you tell what these people. They only speak in broad generalities, like Scientologists are crazy, but you didn't say which Scientologists. You're speaking in broad generalities. Maybe you're antisocial. They only talk about bad news and critical things, okay? They alter to worsen communication when they relay a message. Oh, interesting. They do not respond to treatment. And they also, surrounding such a personality, we find cowed or ill associates or friends who, when not driven actually insane, are yet behaving in a crippled manner in life, failing, not succeeding. So being in their vicinity will make you fail, will make you sick, okay. They pick the wrong target. They cannot finish a cycle of action, okay? They cannot finish a cycle. Any action goes through a sequence where the action is begun, is continued for as long as required, and is completed as planned. In Scientology, this is called a cycle of action. The antisocial becomes surrounded with incomplete projects. Oh, you mean like the ideal org system of Scientology? Hey, check out. Here's an incomplete project. Emptiness galore. Right, the way Runde du eso. Yeah, it's yeah. That's the ruly guy there. So yeah. So they must be procrastinators that have a messy desk like me. Uh-oh. They nailed me. And so they will freely confess to the most alarming crimes when forced to do so, but they will have the faintest sense of responsibility, like forcing people to have abortions against their will and saying it's for their own good so they could be in the Sea Org. Stuff like that, right. They support only destructive groups, and they rage against it and attack any constructive or betterment group, like Scientology. Yeah, no, the representatives, especially Adam Schiff, they would have no excuse for not knowing about these protests and all that. Hey, MC, they hate people that are helping others, and they don't like that there is property. They hate private property. Okay. And the basic reason that these people are so messed up is there's a hidden terror of others. Scientology, you are outing yourself. You are antisocial personalities, and we will later find out what that really means. You are all SPs. Interesting. It's interesting the way projection works. You blame other people for the thing that is your weak spot. And so, let's see. So anyway, they also have no trust. And why would Scientology go after this whole trust issue? Because they want you to trust them. And so they're building up a thing. Thank you, Eyes to See 33. I love being complimented, so that works out for both of us. Awesome. Scientology is calling out people like us about not trusting. Funny. Meanwhile, they're in lockdown just because people stand outside with cameras. It freaks them out. The first time I came here, I started off at the nearby subway station, and two of them were trying to hand out flyers and do their whole body routing thing, and they gave up and came back here immediately just because I was filming them. Why should that stop them? Isn't that suppressive of them? So what Scientology is saying is that one of the first things you need to do when you get into Scientology is that you need to figure out who these antisocial personalities are, and stray bull, and then we need to isolate them, and that they they keep putting this word suppressive in as they explain it. Yes, niacin will do that, and most doctors say that's a crazy amount of niacin that they give people. Not good for you. And so basically the idea is these people are bad. You need to avoid them. And you need to get away from them because they could mess up your progress. So now we move on to the theme of today's lecture, which is PTS, potential trouble source. And like usual, I say, if I get any of this wrong and you are an ex-Scientologist and you know far more than me, I cannot get through an L. Ron Hubbard book because it's either just stupidly obvious or just unreadable for the most part. Not that I've tried lately, to be honest. And I probably will, know thy enemy and all that kind of stuff. So a PTS is a potential trouble source. And a potential trouble source is somebody who's connected knowingly or unknowingly to a suppressive person, one of these antisocial personality types. So a PTS cannot do auditing. They cannot go up the bridge. They got to get their PTS shit handled. And yeah, they are dangerous. And you never know what people are going to do in a cult, in a survival in a survival situation as they see it. There are two stable data which anyone has to have, understand, and know are true in order to obtain results in handling the person connected to suppressives. Okay, what are those things? One, that all illness in greater or lesser degree and all foul-ups stem directly and only from a PTS condition. Okay, you stub your toe, PTS. You fall down the stairs, PTS. You get the sniffles, PTS. All medical and all conditions are tied, all negative conditions, I guess, are PTS. So, if you stub your toe, you have to go looking for the suppressive person in your vicinity. Oh, witch hunts, Spanish Inquisitions, you can see them coming. Yeah, it's so obvious. And I think it's really about either you're at your lowest point and or you have never done any kind of therapy in your life, or you had a really bad therapist and you never had a close friend that you could really confide in. And then you go into Scientology and somebody listens to you and they appear to have solutions and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. But it really comes from desperation and ignorance. That's my theory. I have very little evidence. And unlike L. Ron Hubbard, I will admit that. And so, number 2, that getting rid of the conditions requires 3 basic actions. Discover, right? Witch hunt, discover the witch, handle, or disconnect. So you can either handle the person or you can disconnect from the person. So if it's your mom who doesn't like no, Rune, not very inspirational at all and not very readable at all. And yeah, like I say, from what I remember, it's just really obvious, or it's just kind of a weird way to label things, or it's just like unreadable nonsense. So anyway, so persons called upon to handle PTS people can do so very easily, far more easily than they believe. Their basic stumbling block is thinking that there are exceptions. Don't think your mom or your dad or your best friend is some exception to the rule. Oh, no, no, no. You must realize L. Ron Hubbard wrote this shit, so there are no exceptions. There is no forgiveness. It is 100% do as I say. Definitely not as I do. So the basic stumbling block is thinking there are exceptions or that there's another technology, or that the 2 above data have modifiers and or are not sweeping. There's the weird L. Ron type language. And so, what are they saying? You can't make special loved ones an exception in your mind. Oh no, that would be being weak. And you can't think there's another way besides Scientology for fixing this situation. There is only Scientology. That is the only method. So, don't think there are other methods, and don't think that there's anybody special in your life that does not need to fit into this whole world view. The moment a person who's trying to handle PTSs gets persuaded that there are other conditions or reasons or technology, he is at once lost and will lose the game and not obtain results. And this is very too bad. Ah, nice language there, Elron. This is very too bad. Nice. Because it is not difficult and the results are there to be obtained. A PTS person is rarely psychotic, but all psychotics are PTS, if only to themselves. Okay, so then they go on to say stress doesn't cause illness. Some people say stress causes illness, but what is this thing called stress? It's more than the medico defines it. He usually says it comes from operational physical shock, and in this he has too limited a view. A person under stress is actually under a suppression in one or more areas or aspects of his life. So anyway, yeah, right, L. Ron Hubbard was the exception. He got to have psych meds in his blood when he died. He got to take the pills that he wouldn't give others. So here's what happens. Scientologists, from all the stories I have heard, they really don't want to say that they got sick, they had an accident, or anything like that, And yeah, not enough. Tell your friends. But so if you go to Scientology and you say that you're sick, or you can't come in because you're sick, PTS. Oh, I stubbed my toe this morning, PTS. Now you have to go looking through your life for who the suppressive person is. And it's not just, hey, go home and look through your life and figure out who the suppressive person is. No, it is get interrogated. Share with everybody and we will get more viewers. You know, it's one step at a time. I've only been doing it for slightly over a month. So, you know, it's plug away every day, and I'm pretty thrilled with how it's working out so far. So, you know, but adding another extra zero on there would be a great thing. Thank you, Running Bear. So, anyway, you don't want to be PTS, because if you're looked upon as PTS, then you can't do the services. And right, exactly. And if you break the leg, you pulled it in, and what did you do? Were you a leg breaker in past lives, and now you needed your thanks, Chichikana. I love that. So, yeah, you pulled it in. Now, as I've said before on this channel, I believe in manifestation. I believe in souls. I believe in reincarnation. I believe in all kinds of stuff. I don't think you need a cult to make it happen, and I don't give a shit if nobody else believes it. But, you know, so it's kind of funny because there are certain little aspects of Scientology that I do not disagree with. It's not about beliefs. It's not about religious faith or any of that. It's about cult. It's about mind control. It's about human trafficking. It's about stealing from people, conning people. Well, I think if Chichikana, if you pulled everything in, then you pulled in the suppressive person too, right? So I think it could be mixed, but I'm not the expert in that way. So I don't know how they would answer that question. That's my guess, though. My guess is that you pull everything in. So if you're connected to an SP, you probably pulled that in for some reason. You're probably having some, you know, negative thoughts or whatever. And then the universe is showing you that through your broken leg or stubbed toe or diphtheria or whatever. But also or chili cheese fries. So also, if somebody listens to this and they're not watching the comments, they're like, what the hell is he talking about all of a sudden? So this is another reason why Scientologists tend to avoid getting medical care and end up dying early, because they don't want to admit to being a potential trouble source. They don't want to go on another witch hunt for SPs in their life. They don't want to have to disconnect, because it's not just going on the witch hunt for the SPs. It's also about, you have to disconnect from these people or handle them. So, that means every time you get a boo-boo, you might have to cut out another member of your family. Oh, you stubbed your toe? Okay, Uncle John's got to go. He's looking like an SP these days, right? And so maybe you don't tell them you stubbed your toe. Then they go in the e-meter and they say, oh, what happened to you? This needle's moving around in a weird way. Oh, maybe because I stubbed my toe this morning. Oh, yep, that's what it was. Okay. And then now we go on the hunt for the SP. So, right from the beginning of Scientology, they are preparing you for disconnection. They are preparing you for cutting off friends, family, anybody for whatever reason, and no matter the cost to you. You might have to quit your job because your employer's an SP. Don't worry. We'll get you a job over here at the org where you can make 3 cents an hour. Awesome. Yeah. Hey, who cares about money? This is about your eternity, man. You can't be sitting there worried about money when you have a whole eternity to worry about. Why don't you just join the Sea Org? And then you can have a billion years of rice and beans sleeping on a cot in a shitty room listening to everybody else snore. That would be good. That would keep you out of trouble. And then you could do so much Scientology, and you could go up the bridge and be this supreme elevated being, this legendary figure of awesomeness, and yeah, quit your job. Oh, bummer. I kind of liked being a corporate executive making $450,000 a year, but you know, they probably have a point. I should probably scrub toilets with my own personal toothbrush that I had to buy out of my $47 a week allowance. Yeah, that would be a good improvement in life, and that would work for my eternity. So, these little concepts that you have to study in the beginning of Scientology, they are roping you, they are guiding you down the chute like a slaughterhouse, and there is no escape. Although in Scientology there is an escape. But the prison, as they said in the movie, The Matrix, the prison is in your mind in Scientology. Like my other videos that I made talking about totalitarian regimes, East Germany, the Berlin Wall, and all that. Those people knew that the cult of East German communism was bullshit. 90% of the people in that country knew it was bullshit, and they had to put a double wall. The Berlin Wall was not one wall, it was 2 walls with a death strip in between, and spikes and dogs and guard towers. That's what it took to keep people in East Germany. What does it take to keep people in Scientology? It takes just some fucked up concepts that are total bullshit. That's what it takes. And just getting enough people to believe it. Well, there are fewer and fewer people believing the bullshit now, these days. And we, on sptv, intend to make it fewer and fewer. Because as we expose the ideological foundations, well, that's what I do. That's not what everybody else does. But by exposing the ideological foundation, showing how they construct the prison of the mind, we can inoculate everybody who learns this information from getting infected by the disease, the mental illness, which is Scientology. It's not their fault. And we can use all their terms against them. And so, you know, these are people who got plucked out of whatever disaster, whatever heartbreak in life that made them susceptible. Thanks, Chichikana. Yeah, I feel a little preachy these days, especially right now. Catching that wave of the rant. But, you know, these people are victims of a horrendous system. I do not hate them. I do not think they are messed up. And most of the ones that leave, they're really cool people. The ones that I've met who have been in and left, you know, one thing is they're really smart. And for a lot of them having like a 7th grade education, they're really articulate, well-spoken. I mean, the one good thing about L. Ron Hubbard's stuff is he makes you look up words in the dictionary as a religious practice. And I mean, hey, you do that. That's going to be good for your vocabulary for sure. So I'm curious about this bike dude going up and down and up and down. Yeah, it's all about, it is amazing, right, Running Bear? Yeah, they believe in isolating individuals. They have to isolate you because if you go home every night to your significant other and say, here's what I learned in Scientology today, and they say, that kind of sounds like bullshit. Oh man, you're ruining everything. You're a suppressive person. You're going to make me into a potential trouble source. I'm going to have to get you out of my life. And so they construct the prison of the mind. And some people, they keep building that prison from the inside, reinforcing the walls with every next step. And then there's a thing called Stockholm syndrome. And Scientologists got a lot of Stockholm syndrome going on. And the Stockholm syndrome is when in a hostage situation, the hostages start identifying with the kidnappers. And they even want to protect the kidnappers. It's a psychological thing that happens when, even though your life is being put in danger by this person, since they have the power of life or death over you, you develop a certain bond with them. And when the cops come, they're even like, don't hurt them, you know, stuff like that. Okay. Just like victims of domestic violence will do the same thing. Cops always say that responding to a domestic violence situation is dangerous, not necessarily because of the person committing the abuse, but actually because of the person being abused going to the defense of the abuser. There are many times when the cops have put handcuffs on an abusive husband and got hit upside the head with a frying pan by the wife. The wife, who has broken bones and bruises, goes to defend the husband. Don't take him away. I love him. Okay, so there's a dependency thing that happens. This is why they want to isolate people, because if they can get them isolated, they can get them in a dependency. They can get them in a Stockholm syndrome situation. And if they can do that, then they have that person 100%. They have their mind, they have their body, they got the whole deal. And so it's really hard to get somebody out of that. And when you try to get them out of it, well, Scientology's already programmed them into thinking that you are a suppressive person. Wow, that sucks. A philosophy major, a smart guy, becomes a Scientologist until death does he part from the world. That sucks. And it also goes to prove that it's really about it's not about intelligence. It's just not about intelligence. It is about emotion. It's about neediness. It's about feeling that you have found a place of safety, feeling that you have got an understanding of reality that makes all the crazy stuff make sense a little bit. And when you've gone through mental illness, deep insecurity, rejection, all the horrible things that happen to people, and you're grasping for anything, any kind of reassurance. I think most of us have been in moments like that, and thank God Scientology wasn't around in that moment, because you might not have permission to listen to me right now if that were the case. So, Xenu told me to ask you guys, if you haven't subscribed, please do so, like, share, and all of that. Yeah, it's not me, it's just Xenu saying that. But I know a lot of you are already subscribed, especially when I have this low of a number of people listening. So anyway, they set a trap, you go into the trap, and then there are all these reinforcing mechanisms of the trap. And you kind of gotta give them credit for the brilliance of the trap that they have created. I mean, it's evil, but it's genius. It's evil genius. It is definitely, if there's karma in the universe, L. Ron Hubbard is getting his ass roasted in hell right now. And he's not having much fun over there for sure. And, because this trap is created specifically. I know, we got to do that. That's one of my things. The star for Xenu. That's right. Intelligent people stay with their abusers. It's not about, oh yeah, I've been going, lovely birds, I've been going live a lot. Please watch my old live streams. Just click on live on my channel. You'll see. I did kind of a part one of this yesterday. No, I've done quite a lot of live streams. This channel has blown up quite a bit. Not enough yet, but there's more to come for sure, because we're going to get into the political season, and this is not going to be about politics, but we are going to start hounding politicians about Scientology, so that's going to be fun. Well, the youngsters have their own rhythms and longer attention spans are not necessarily part of it. So thanks, lovely birds. It's so here in the North Korean People's Republic, we are talking about PTS, potential trouble sources. A potential trouble source is a person connected, knowingly or unknowingly, to a suppressive person. So, when you are a potential trouble source, you cannot do Scientology until you get rid of the SP that you're connected to. They have to either be handled or disconnected from. So that's how Scientology alienates you from the people who later on are your only hope of survival. Because these are the people who would do anything for you, including rescuing you from a cult. But Scientology makes sure that you get them out of your life first. And the moment they start talking about Scientology, you either handle them, and that is not an option for them, or you disconnect from them. Otherwise, you cannot be a Scientologist. So, Nicole Kidman's father was a mental health professional. I can't remember if it was psychiatrist, psychologist, or whatever. But he was one of the dreaded psychs, the worst type of being in Scientology. And so that made Nicole Kidman PTS. And that was a problem that Tom Cruise had to handle. And if Tom Cruise is sharing a bed with somebody who's PTS and they're not doing anything about the SP in their life, which was Nicole Kidman's dad, who was questioning Scientology, then that would mean it's like if Nicole wasn't going to disconnect from dad, Tom was going to have to disconnect from Nicole. It's logical. Once you set up the rules of the game, certain moves are just logical. They're just the next logical thing to do. And so if your wife has a father who's a suppressive person, are you PTS, sir? PTS? If your wife has a father who's an SP, and your wife has the audacity to continue loving her father, that's not acceptable. Good for you, lovely birds. Make it happen. Yeah, Tom Cruise, I mean, again, Tom Cruise is one of these people who they got when he was very vulnerable. If you see, there's this video of him from back in the day before he got famous, where he is a quivering mess of vulnerability. And that's when they got him. And they made him feel like Superman. And he's like, hell yeah, that's right, I am Superman. Shit. Me and Davey Mismanige ruling the world. And apparently Tom Cruise has stated, there's L. Ron Hubbard, there's David Miscavige, and then there's me. And that's the rankings of the most important people on Earth. And since number one is dead, that would make Tom Cruise number two most essential human for clearing the planet. And that's not delusional thinking. Oh no. That is just accuracy in motion for sure. Yeah, his next wedding is going to be hilarious. His next divorce is going to be beyond hilarious. Can you imagine? can you imagine the pressure on Tom Cruise? I mean, obviously, he just blames everybody else for his issues. But I agree with you, Stray Bull. I mean, how could you see him the same? I'll tell you what, there are movies I enjoy of Tom Cruise. I'm not going to bullshit. I'm honest here on this channel. But I will never watch a Tom Cruise movie in the theater. I will watch a Tom Cruise movie that I do not pay money to see. That's the only time I'm watching any Tom Cruise. You know, you could say, well, if you're watching it on Netflix, then he's getting something. Yeah, whatever. That's a drop in the bucket compared to going to the movie theater. That's true. Chichichana, only a Scientologist can help you if you're bleeding out after a massive car accident. Definitely. Don't worry about ambulances, doctors, emergency rooms, trauma centers, any of that. Don't worry about getting medevaced. Unnecessary. Just call Tom Cruise and he'll get you the closest Scientologist. No, I don't give him any money either. And it's not really my kind of movie, most of the ones he makes. But there are a few that I've definitely enjoyed, and I can put it to the side. But I'm just not going to pay any money to the theater for him. Hell no. I'm not even going to watch it, you know, in the first 2 weeks it goes on Netflix or something. Yeah, you should have called him when you were dying of that thing that maybe you can't say as much here. I don't know. So, anyway, we see that it's like any sales situation. You go to buy a car and they say, oh, you're looking to buy a car today. If you say no, then they just say, well, why don't you come back when you are? Right? So if you're sitting there talking to them, you basically have to agree, I'm looking to buy a car today. Okay, then let's find the best car that we have, see what you think, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so in the end, if you say, I'm not really looking to buy a car. Oh, you lied? You lied to me, right? So they get you. It's logical in the sales realm. It's logical to say, hey, I don't want to waste my time with somebody who doesn't want to buy a car. I am a car salesman. I am looking to speak with people who want to buy a car. Absolutely. So, Doxy Mom, I like your hardcore stance. You have principles. That's good. But, so, see, they ask you questions that when you answer the question a certain way, then they have you locked in. Now, obviously, if you're buying a car and you just want to shop around, you're free to do that. But they will try to guilt trip you. You know, they will use your words against you. Like they say, everything you say can and will be used against you. And in Scientology, that counts double. So they get you to make these agreements in Scientology, and they get you to agree to these philosophical principles. And once you agree to those principles, then later on, when things happen, like, for example, in this whole thing about SPs, they say, well, what could make it go wrong is that you think that there are exceptions to the rule. Like, I understand what you're saying about SP Scientology, but my dad is really special to me, and I don't I don't feel comfortable disconnecting from him because I love him, because he's my dad. And so I want to make a special dispensation for my dad. And Scientology say, well, remember page 4 of the first book you ever read of Scientology when it said there's no exceptions? You didn't have a problem with it then, but now when it's you have to disconnect from your dad, now you're getting all weak on us. What's up with that? And so then it's kind of like, you agreed, you're locked in. And so they're always getting you in this standoff where for you to assert any of your own will would require you going up against them. And if you go up against them, you're definitely going to be PTS. And if you don't watch out, you're going to be an SP. You're going to be kicked out of the Church of Scientology. You're going to lose all your friends because you already lost your pre-Scientology friends because Scientology made you disconnect from most of them. You already lost a lot of your family members because Scientology made you disconnect from them or made you minimize contact to a certain degree. You might lose your job because Scientology got you into a Scientology-run company. Or if you own the company, Scientology made sure that you hired a bunch of Scientologists to work for you. So if you quit Scientology, they all quit all at once and leave you high and dry in the business and maybe do some sabotage on their way out. So you are royally screwed when it's time to wake up and leave Scientology. And that's why when you see Scientologists walking around here, they have a really terrified look. Because I'm definitely an SP. They're not allowed to talk to SPs. They're not allowed to just have a conversation with an SP. And if they do have a conversation with me, well, that means they're on some higher level, meaning they are some kind of Scientology spy. Right, you leave your whole support system. So any Scientologist who would come out right here and freely talk to me and debate things or whatever would be at risk of, well, it wouldn't even be risk. They would be handled. They would definitely be handled. And after they got done handling them, they would be punished. And they might even be kicked out. If they give any sass, they definitely will be kicked out. So you don't dare break the rules in Scientology because you're always on the edge of being kicked out if you disagree in any way. Yeah, exactly. The universal solvent. Yeah, that's definitely a tricky thing. Something that Scientology does not live up to. Absolutely. So it's really diabolical what they do. It's amazing. And it is genius. But sirens sounds more like fire trucks, though. Probably not for us, but you never know. You never know when they're going to come around and put you in handcuffs and pat you down and do the whole thing because Scientology said, oh no, there's a scary SP moving about the premises. So you notice how there are very few lights on here. Apparently there are some actual humans, non-Scientological humans living in some of these buildings. I thought that there weren't, but apparently somebody said that they were renting their apartment from Scientology. That must be a really fun landlord to deal with. Could you imagine having Scientology as your landlord and living on this street? Man, that would definitely be, well, it would be a good reality show. I mean, if you put a bunch of cameras and mics around and then just said your toilet wasn't flushing right and they send some Scientologist in. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine the late payments that they're charging if you're late on the rent or the evictions or whatever? And my guess is if they're renting out to non-Scientologists, it's probably some kind of thing where they couldn't kick them out when they bought the building or something, because apparently Scientology bought all these buildings. And if I'm wrong, correct me, please. I don't have the deeds. But apparently they bought all these buildings to be able to keep this whole North Korean vibe pristine. And, they didn't want to deal with thinking free humans. They wanted to deal with their favorite thing, empty buildings. All but 2 on the street owned by them. Okay, thanks for that information. I love it, being able to get that that live update info. That's pretty cool. Thank you. So yeah, that's one thing about cults. That's one thing about any kind of abusive relationship. Being controlling and limiting your avenues of escape, really crucial, really important to anybody engaging in mind control, abuse of other humans. I know, there's so many better colors of blue than that. I used to really like that blue. That used to be kind of my favorite color when I was a kid. Not anymore. Yeah, exactly. What I'm thinking of, I want to interview a priest, and I want to tell him what I've been doing with Scientology, and I want to give him some pretty hard-hitting questions that might make him uncomfortable, but I want to give him the opportunity to not act like a Scientologist and demonstrate that to the world and show the difference. And what I think I'm going to do with that is that I will just walk up to a church and ask to talk to a priest, on camera. I'm not going to give him a warning. I'm not going to tell him what it's about. It wouldn't work as well that way. Although these people have a warning. They know what we're all about. That's not a big surprise. Right. You're not going to get kicked out of your church for disagreeing. In fact, you're probably going to give your preacher a real intellectual thrill to kind of talk you back into the fold and explain all the theology and all of that. I count on them watching everybody's live stream. That to me is just an assumption. When I started doing this, it was like, they're gonna know who I am. They're gonna know everything about me. They're gonna watch the live stream, and they'll do anything they can to discredit everybody that's doing this. And if I'm going to go and get my ass out on the street and do this, I can't be all shocked when they do their normal Scientology bullshit. You got to assume it. It's not smart to think you're going to be the exception. So I realize they'll probably make stuff up. I would like to be the angry gay Pope's friend. Not out of any romantic interest, but but I just think he's funny as shit, man. The dude is so hilarious, and it would be really fun to hang. I'd like to have a drink or a smoke with that dude, because like, damn, what he did was so legendary. He's not even allowed to come back here, I believe. I think he has some, what's it called, order of protection, and he can't go around any Scientology locations. But, you know, maybe that's something that some lawyer... Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't looked at what he's doing lately. And yeah, I'm not interested in the muscle dudes, but he is the angry gay pope, so, you know. Oh, you mean trollish in a good way. Okay, I get it. Okay, sorry. I thought you were criticizing. You're interested in Jim Morrison. I showed my daughters the Doors movie, and they were just like appalled at Jim Morrison. I mean, to them, he was a drunk that cheated, and that was end of story. Yeah, okay, so he wrote some songs, whatever. It was interesting seeing it through there. Yeah, it is a great movie, but you know, you see it with some 20-something young ladies, and definitely get another image. You know, there's so many movies from back then, or portraying back then, like 60s, 70s, whatever, that my daughters watch it and they see it from a whole other angle, like crazy stuff that people my age, yeah, they would cancel everything. Exactly. You know, crazy stuff that was like, ooh, they did that. I mean, the thing is, these youngsters today, they didn't grow up with the same taboos that we did. Not necessarily speaking for all of you. You might be a lot younger than me, whatever. But they don't have the taboos, so they don't have that kind of thrill of breaking the taboo. Yeah, they're sensitive, but it's also like, they didn't, you know, like you could watch some movie from the 70s where a straight guy is pretending to be gay or whatever, and it would be funny back then, but now they wouldn't even get it because they don't understand the taboo that existed about being gay. So they wouldn't even get the joke. They wouldn't get the context, you know, and they wouldn't get certain things that were really revolutionary. Right, Jack Tripper. Yeah, that character couldn't exist. It's like, what's so funny about that? He's pretending to be gay? You know, what the hell? And oh my God, that dude upstairs is such a homophobe. The landlord, what was his name again? Yeah, but Roper, I think. Yeah, something like that. Not Furley. But yeah, those kind of things wouldn't make any sense. Certain things where people got really wild and did crazy stuff. And I tell my daughters and they're like, oh, that's vandalism or whatever, you know. So they got real goody. It's a different time, exactly. You know, I don't want to be one of those people like, oh, these kids. You know, it's like they got their time on earth and whatever. You know, I don't want to do all the old people things that I used to hate seeing people do. Yeah, not ready for the cane part yet, but yeah, Doxy Mom, I'm probably from your time. I'm from the, yeah, Quagmire, Yeah, exactly. Um, I'm from the be home when the street lights come on time. And I was just talking to my daughter about how back in the 70s, it would, the adults would say, you kids are rotting your brains with all this TV. You're always watching TV. Now we look at it as we were always out playing and our parents didn't know where we were. That's like the narrative now. And in the 90s, okay, well, where'd you live? In Mississippi? On a dirt road? But I didn't think that existed till then. Right, like, go outside. Why are you in here? Go play. And it's not like, where are you going to be? And make sure you have a cell phone on you, as if there was one. North Carolina. Well, and now, if they were limited to the amount of TV we used to watch, there would be a national rebellion of children. Yeah, I wandered the streets, Strable, of San Francisco in the late 60s and early 70s. When I look back on it now, it was probably about 71. I was staying with some people pretty close to Haight-Ashbury. I was probably 8 and my brother was 6. And we just go to like Golden Gate Park for hours alone. Golden Gate Park during the winding down of the hippie era was not a place that you would want to send children to. But we weren't even sent there. We just went there ourselves. And I don't even remember anything about it really, because all of San Francisco was like wall-to-wall hippies. You go there now and it feels like a ghost town compared to what I remember as a little kid. But Mission District, nice. Yeah, San Francisco, that's the first city that I ever knew, and I loved it. I loved it. I mean, since then I've lived in a lot of cities. I've never lived in San Francisco, but every time I go into San Francisco, I get that thrill coming over the Bay Bridge into San Francisco. I'm like, man, this is great. But I heard it's pretty bad these days. Sounds a little bit out of control these days, so I don't know if I'd like it as much, but I do need to get back up there. So anyway, Scientologists, in order to keep doing Scientology, they are taught from day one there are these antisocial personalities, these suppressive persons that you really need to do everything necessary to either handle or disconnect from. And if you don't, you can't do Scientology, and eventually you'll be a suppressive person and you will get kicked out. And so the dynamics of the cult and the mind control make it so that you have no way out. Chichicana, you can't say Frisco. They go berserk. They don't like that word. That's an indicator that you are not one of them. Oh, it was purposeful. Okay. You know the deal. Who was it when some comedian was doing a show there, and then they said to somebody in the audience, "Where are you from?" And the person said, "Frisco." And the whole audience was like, no. They were like booing, and it was like, oh, that was the wrong answer, man. Like, you just outed yourself as definitely not being from around these parts. Right, like New Orleans, exactly. That would indicate that you are not a local. And in New York, there's a town, Monticello, with the same spelling as the Virginian town Monticello, where Jefferson lived. I think that was Virginia. But in New York, if you say Monticello, they're like, and looking at you like you're dumb. And it's like, excuse me, this is an Italian word that I am, from Texas. Cool. So, anyway, the next lecture, I don't know what it'll be about because I didn't really read ahead. But, what I want to do is I want to cover all these basic points of Scientology and kind of go through them. The tone scale, yeah, I'm going to have to study up on the tone scale. But, it's interesting to have this whole kind of body of knowledge that's all bullshit. I mean, it's pretty creative to come up with that. To come up with a whole intricate thing that becomes this cult, all these self-reinforcing mechanisms of belief. And why is it interesting? Because this is the way that our reality is constructed in a lot of ways. The reality of, for example, a corporate culture is similar. You get a job in a certain corporation, and then you start talking about whatever, and they're like, oh, no, we don't talk about that here at XYZ Corporation. You create your reactive mind. Stop it. You create your reactive mind. Don't text and drive. Don't text and drive. Oh, really? He is responsive? Okay, I'm gonna find his. Can you send me his email? You can email it to me. Okay. Do we see people? Are there going to be more people creating their reactive minds with bad driving techniques? Please tell your members, no texting and driving. Texting and driving is N theta. So Williams said he contacted him, and AGP said no, he didn't. Or was he just getting butthurt that he was not reached out to? Is that what you're saying? Whatever. I don't get into those things. I would love to interview him, chat with him, bring him back into this fold in whatever way. He gave William a card. William is inundated with a lot of requests, a lot of, and he is careful about who he, reaches out to. He's busy too, he's doing this stuff. He's doing the police watching stuff. You know, he's a productive guy. And also, who knows how much he even knows a lot of that backstory. Yeah, I'm sure William didn't mean anything by it. And he might not even know the relevance of the angry gay pope. Like, William wasn't some big Scientology watcher for years and years like me and some of you. He might be like, oh yeah, I've heard of him, or somebody told me, yeah, he was whatever. But it's not like he's one of these people that watched the guy a lot back in the day. You know, so, and it's not like William has the time to go over past, yeah, they didn't know who Tori Magoo was exactly. It's like Jessica Palmades was kind of like, yeah, you look familiar. I've seen you in videos or whatever. But it's like, yeah, for me, I know a lot of the Tori Magoo story. I've watched many hours of her on YouTube. So I know the backstory. And yeah, they are young and they are doing great stuff, and they're getting a lot of attention and a lot of views and whatever, and that's great. And that's why I thought, you know, there's a lane out here in this realm that is currently at least semi-unoccupied, and there's room. Did you realize that you create your reactive mind? Did you know that? So you can just stop and then you're clear. What's that? Well, no, that might make you PTS. And if you're PTS, pretty soon you could be an SP, so you should not talk to me. That's a survival mechanism, ladies and gentlemen. Not talking to SPs is a survival mechanism. But at least you got the clear cognition for free, right? And I mean, free is always a bargain. Free is always a good price. Thanks, Chichicana. So he's not talking to me. Oh man, I don't check bracelets. Did he have a clear bracelet? Okay, I don't even know what they look like. Are they clear? You're not clear. You couldn't even get in the door, dude. Now you're getting PTS. See what happened? Just listening to me. It made him PTS. See how much we're learning, ladies and gentlemen? That dude could not open the door. He just became a failure, a potential trouble source. And he had to meekly go looking for another door. Oh no! The agony. Exactly. What did he do? What did you do to pull me in? You know, I'm a big guy. I'm not easy to pull anywhere. But you, with your evil ways, somehow, you attracted this. That's right. All ways of this protest are valuable, and it's also really good to have different ways because, you know, it's like hitting the virus. You create your reactive mind. Stop it. You know, so it's like exactly. Different antibiotics work on different bacteria. And When in doubt, hit them with all of them simultaneously. They won't be able to withstand the onslaught, and that's a good thing. Hey, here's somebody who might not be clear. Here's somebody who spent all their money on Scientology, and now their car's getting kind of rattly. Hey boy, you're getting rattly. You got you a rattle trap. You create your reactive mind. You create your reactive mind. You create your reactive mind. And I want money. I want a percentage of the money you saved. I want 25%. I think that is not too much to ask. Can I have $12,500 for the clear cognition, please? $12,500 is a bargain for the clear cognition. Well, I'll start small, and then I'll pull them in for some other auditing. Yeah. There are no upper OT levels. Hey, everybody. Guess what? There are no upper OT levels. David Mismanige just bullshitted you. Ha 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 ha. Look at that. Driving fast, trying to avoid that SP energy. Yeah, it's all online. I mean, the stuff I was reading the last couple days is stuff that I downloaded online. So there is plenty of it. I know I'm probably missing a busier door, but this is the closest one that's accessible without trespassing. And I don't trespass. I don't break any laws here. Chichicana's always getting me there. So it's always a shock to see anybody actually showing up here. I'm always kind of disappointed and almost shocked, because so many places in Scientology have nothing going on, like 0.0. And no, I've never been trespassed, but I want to save that up for a good occasion. But no, I have never been trespassed anywhere in any location, because I have never trespassed, because I'm not an SP. I'm a law-abiding person. Now that certain substances have been legalized, that makes it easier. And so, but we got to save these fun activities for a later date when they can be really productive, and maybe when there are a lot more people that are savable in the vicinity. So when that's happening, that will be a good time. Do we have friend or foe? None shall pass and all that. So, good evening. I would say these are neutrals in the fight against the tyranny of the cultish mind. I did expect a lot more of my compatriots here. Maybe that's a sign something's going on at the testing center. Could they have tried again there? Scientology's wonderful, isn't it? See? They didn't expect that. See, that could interbulate them more than anything. So is there anything in Riverside or in your area, any Scientology over there? But it's amazing. But the thing is, the more that these people, at first, gold base, yeah, well, you can't do anything there. Not a lot of good pedestrian action. Exactly. There's no place to put your car. All you can do is drive by it or something, or park far away and hike, and then worry what's going to happen to your car by the time you get back to it, I'm sure. Yeah, people go in waves here. And, you know, I'm not trying to always be where there's a huge group of everybody. Usually I'm looking for really the opposite. Usually I'm looking for more of this kind of thing, where I am the only one. Yeah, I was watching DOA's interview with Natalie. I saw probably about half of it. And yeah, it would be good to get my channel promoted, so you have my permission to make others aware of my presence to whatever degree. I met Aaron and I talked to Aaron, but the emails that I've sent to him, I didn't really talk to him about promoting me or anything. Hello, Noel's gig. Thank you. Please do come back. Subscribe and hit that bell, everybody, so that you will be notified. I don't give a lot of warning before. Thank you. I don't give a lot of warning before I come on. But I will be doing more live streams from home, and going over some of these more intellectual aspects of things in those live streams. You know, breaking down these philosophical building blocks of the cult. Oh, nice. That's a real sweet. I think those are like license plate readers. I've heard about license plate readers. But yeah, you know, with Aaron, when I first started sending him emails, it was like he was traveling out of town for a while, and then, I mean, then he started doing the Clearwater thing. He came here, whatever. So I have not gotten through on that. I haven't tried in a while, but I realize if you're going to get through to him by email, it's probably like winning the lottery, because the dude probably gets thousands a day. What's legal to have? Yeah, I'm sure he's really swamped, and I actually emailed him my video earlier today of going to Adam Schiff's office. because I think he said, or some other channel said, please send us your video of going to a politician's office so that we can use it kind of as a model. So I did that. They are plate readers, right? Yeah. And I'm sure that this place is one of the most active places in Scientology in the world, because LA is the most active place for Scientology in the world, and this is the most active place in LA as far as my information goes. So yeah, this is it. And this is where Scientologists come to get fleeced on a daily basis. This is where public Scientologists go and where Sea Org people live. So yeah, this is a real hot spot of Scientology, like pretty much the hot spot, except for Clearwater. And Clearwater, I guess, is a whole other animal in a way. So I mean, we shouldn't be shocked that there's activity here. That's kind of normal. I mean, they do have their 25,000 people worldwide, and maybe 10,000 of those are right here in LA. So it wouldn't be too weird to see, people going in and out here. But yeah, I mean, the paranoia. Speaking of paranoia, how you doing, dude? Yeah, it's all paranoia. I mean, license plate readers, give me a break. But they probably have computer programs to see, well, how many people are driving down this street multiple times a day, and that goes into a certain category. And then they have their private detectives and whatever that can look up all the information and find out what they need to find out. So yeah, everything about Scientology is pretty damn creepy. Parking in the exit area. No law against it, I'm sure, but it's probably for some creepy purpose. To enforce some kind of no-go control zone. The funny thing is the lack of self-awareness about the creepiness. It's like whenever you get this group of people that are all the same, that whatever I mean, not they're all the same, but they have some defining feature that makes them that group. And then when they encounter somebody in a totally different group, they think they're all cool, but somebody not in their group just looks at them like, what the hell is this? Like, these people are weird. But within the group, they think that person's weird. So I'm sure, Scientologists, like, one reason Aaron at first said that he wasn't going to do this was that he remembers what he used to think as a Scientologist. Hello? As a Scientologist, he used to think, like, oh, those people out there protesting are the scum of the earth. Those are really bad people, And, like, he didn't want to be one of those people. And then I think after a little while, he was like, yeah, but I was a Scientologist at the time. Of course I would have thought that. And I don't really care about that now. let me see if it makes a difference. That made somewhat of a difference. Thank you. But the streakiness got more of all the lights, that's for sure. So let's see. Yeah, still streaky, but whatever. Thank you. And please don't hesitate to tell me that. Suppressive streaks. Good thinking. Yeah, that's just a sign. How did I pull in those goddamn streaks? I pulled it in. Oh no, I pulled it in. I need some auditing. Well, luckily, damn, I'm right here where the auditing happens. At the place where nobody can look in and nobody can look out. Because looking out is dangerous. Oh, here's some new curtain tech. Man, the technology of curtains just gets more impressive every time. But there are cracks in the armor. Because I will not say the CH word about armor. Oh my God, how interesting. A Scientological loading dock. Here we go. Where all the magic happens, where Tom Cruise arrives in his limo to a chorus of hip hip hoorays. You can almost hear the silence of a dying cult. And they are dying. But they have those rich whales keeping them afloat extremely temporarily. But we can see the nothingness. This isn't going to last for long. They'll limp along, sure, in utter defeat and humiliation. But they're used to being humiliated in every auditing session. And some say that to be a Scientologist, you need a little bit of a kind of craving for dominance of others, not your own. That might make you an SP. You wouldn't want that. But to be dominated is the secret wish of many, many, many Scientologists. To be given structure in life by your master, L. Ron. Or number 2, Davey. Or number 3, Big Tommy the Cruise Meister. Because that is the ranking of humans in order of importance in this quadrant of the Galactic Federation. Dun, dun, dun. The glory, the majesty, the emptiness, the closed-offedness, the relic of a lost age of mind control that is ever so slowly exiting our planet. And Scientology is leading the charge of that exit into oblivion. Once upon a time, Tom Cruise said, imagine a future with no SPs. Tom, the future belongs to us. The future is suppressive when it comes to your dumb asses. The future is not Scientology. The future is us, the crazy ones, the weirdos, the gays, the free thinkers, the potheads, the psychedelic freaks. That's the future, not uptight people who only fart in soprano because of their frozenness and their anal retention. Thank you very much for being with me tonight. Please like, share, and subscribe. And there will be more tomorrow. Possibly here, possibly somewhere else. I thank all of you. Good night.